Whoops, forgot to turn my camera on. That's embarrassing. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm making this video because I'm going to make a bold prediction. Very bold prediction. And I want to be able to post this video everywhere, all over my Facebook, once it becomes reality. So I can be like, ha, I told you so. And I can feel cool for like a half an hour or maybe 45 minutes. So, what is my bold prediction? My bold prediction is once movie studios go back to normal and are able to resume production, you're going to see a huge rise in paranoia films. What are paranoia films? Well, the two decades that are most synonymous with paranoia films are the 50s and the 80s. Why those decades? Well, let's look at the 50s. 50s was Cold War, okay? A lot of advertisement going around on the television saying that your friendly neighbor might be a Russian spy. The person who works at the bar, the bartender, might be a Russian spy. Heck, even your mother or your grandmother might be a Russian spy. Don't trust anyone. Those were the kind of advertisements that were going on TV during the 1950s. Well, obviously, the population was getting a little paranoid. What's going on? Who do I trust? And consequently, a lot of films that came out in the 1950s were paranoia films. Fast forward to the 1980s. What was in the 80s? Well, you had the AIDS epidemic. And they didn't know how this disease was transmitted, whether it was through contact, whether it was respiratory, or it ended up being a sexually transmitted disease. But again, that created a lot of paranoia. Who do we trust? Who do I hang out with? Can I kiss this guy? Can I not kiss this guy? So that created a second movement of paranoia films. And actually, you had a lot of the movies that came out in the 50s become remakes in the 80s. The Thing, for example, is basically a Cold War allegory. And it came out in the 50s, I believe 1951. Yeah, it came out in 51 or 54, around there. But then it was remade into John Carpenter's The Thing, the one we all remember. And that one had an allegory for AIDS. They even had that scene where they're putting the copper wire through blood, and it was a little allegory for AIDS going on there. Well, now we're living in a similar time to the 50s and 80s, but with this coronavirus. And a lot of the struggles us as a society we're going through right now is similar to what was going on in the 80s and the 50s. So I can see a resurgence of these paranoia films beginning once studios begin production. And we're starting to see small blossoms of this. I just heard that Blumhouse and John Carpenter are collaborating for making a new Thing movie, which is pretty cool. And I predicted that as well, and I've told all my friends, but unfortunately I just didn't fucking record the video until after it happened. So that's another prediction I made that I could have felt cool about, but what you gonna do? Your boy's busy, huh? Yeah, and it's gonna be an interesting time for me as a film buff, because I watched these 50s paranoia films and paranoia films made in the 80s, and it never really scared me because it never felt tangible to me, because there's never been something in my lifetime that created like societal paranoia. Closest thing in my lifetime was maybe 9/11. They're like, oh, terrorism was a big thing. You can't trust anyone there. But it was very slight when compared to the AIDS epidemic or the Cold War scare. And I'm predicting perhaps even going forward, there's going to be an Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake. Other Cold War movies like that are going to get remade. Maybe even The Blob, but that was not so much Cold War related, more atomic energy related. But still, it's going to be an interesting time for horror films, because they're going to dive deep into that paranoia theme. And I'm not just talking about remakes and reboots and whatever. Just horror movies in general are going to have a more paranoia feel to them. This paranoia film genre is what also began the film craze known as the zombie movies. Everyone fucking loved zombie movies. Well, that blossomed out of the Cold War. Do we trust zombies? They're dead or alive. They're going to bite us, yada, yada, yada. We had a lot of Cold War themes going on, too. So who knows? There's been a kind of a dip in zombie movies. Maybe there's going to be a resurgence in zombie movies. But my bold prediction is they're going to remake Body Snatchers, and it's just a matter of time. And they're going to make a lot of paranoia-oriented horror films. Because the last few horror films have been pretty much demon possessions. So I can see them straying away from that and becoming more stuff like Cabin Fever as well. Who knows, they might even remake Cabin Fever. These are all bold predictions, but this is the video I'm going to pull up and be like, I told you so, motherfucker! Woo! But till that day, I'm just a sweaty guy in a garage with a freaking construction light beaming in my face. Oh, I'm so squinty because the light's in my fucking face. Ah! Good night, guys. Stay safe, with the coronavirus, you never know what can happen. Sleep with one eye open, it's the fucking coronavirus.